right to go?
Yep, we're on to go. How much better was it from the back this time, Ken?
Sorry?
How much better was it from the back this time?
From the back, I'm not sure what you mean.
From the back half of the field.
Look, we were defensively really good tonight. One of the areas that we had a bit of a focus on going into the game is that we wanted to get back to defending somewhere near our best. And tonight, credit to the boys, they were able to do that. And in all ways, it's a reflection of some of the stats come out, the reflection of the entries, 34 against. Don't worry about the for, it's more the against. And when you're able to defend that hard, it's going to be really hard for sides to kick a winning score, obviously.
So what changes in that? In the
What
way
changes?
Compared to the way it was against Melbourne last week?
Oh, I think you'll always have little fluctuations. This group's been outstanding, and every time we've played a game and we've had to learn something from the game, they've been able to go back through the week and work really hard and focus in on what those things are. We don't hide away from the fact that we haven't played our best defensive football for the last couple of weeks, or 3 or 4 weeks, and we needed to make sure we got that right tonight.
So was that pretty accurate in the second quarter? I mean, defensively you felt you were still doing pretty well, but just not executing?
Yeah, I did. I thought, we kicked those late goals, I think 3 goals. But at half-time, we'd held them to 29 points. And as I said, if you can do that for 2 halves, it's going to be really hard to kick a winning score and in good conditions. So that was pleasing.
So much did Wingard change that by the time you moved him into the centre square?
Yeah, I thought he made a pretty significant difference as far as getting some clearance out of there. I think him and maybe Ollie might have been. I can't quite remember in that part of the game, but they got it rolling, got some deeper entries for us, and we were able to capitalise in a little burst of play, which was important going into half-time to feel like we had wrestled the control back a little.
Ken, just on the midfield, guys like Hartlett, Ebert, and obviously Chad and Ollie stood up really well in the absence of Travis Boak.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, no, collectively, we think we're not a personnel-based team. We think we're a team, and more important for us is that the team, whoever's out there, collectively get the job done. And tonight, the midfield team, the group of players out there tonight, got the job done.
And Matty Lobe, obviously getting first use of the ball as well.
Yeah. As I said, he's part of that midfield group, and collectively they got. I think if you look outside just the midfield group, collectively as a football team, we were structured up pretty strong tonight.
Kim, what was the thinking on Trengove using him forward and more of Westhoff going back again?
Oh no, there was a little bit of personnel based on what they'd picked. We thought we may have been able to stretch them a little bit with some height in our forward line. It's just something we've always said, we're not frightened to have 3 talls in our forward line. It's a matter of when we choose to do that and when we choose not to do that. And and it allows us to be a bit more flexible, a bit more unpredictable. We want to be predictable to ourselves but unpredictable to the opposition. So Jackson went forward, plays a role down there that is predictable to the team, yet unpredictable to the opposition.
What do you make of the group's ability to sort of work through a bit of a slow start? Like Schulz looked like he sort of started the game fairly slowly. Westhoff really took his game to another level in the second half.
Yeah, I think you give some credit to the Saints. Richo and his team, they came over to make it pretty hard on us. Everyone was talk up that Richo knew us pretty well, and that's absolutely right. But we needed to just make it a bit of a wrestle, a team against team, and try to break them down a little bit. I thought, as I say, defensively, I thought we structured up well, that we weren't conceding in areas that we didn't want to concede in. So even though the scoreboard wasn't going exactly the way we wanted it to, it was a game of defence for us.
How special was Chad Wingard's mark in that third quarter?
On one quick look at it, I thought it was a pretty handy catch, yeah. But I only had one look at it. It looked a bit Howe-like, if you talk about blokes who can do that. I've seen Howe take one last week up in Alice Springs, and I see him do it nearly every week. Chad has a bit of a habit of doing it as well, so it's why he's, as a player, he's hard to manage because he's able to jump like that, take it at ground level, and then go in the midfield for us. But he's just one part of the team.
So you managed to stay in your seat when he got up there?
Yes, yeah, I did. Yeah, no, he's again. The kick was so well placed for him. I mean, yes, it was a fantastic grab, but the placement of the kick helped Chad get in that spot.
What was the key to opening up the game? Because it was close for a long time, but then it did really open up.
Persistence, I reckon, just sticking to structure that we wanted to play and the way we wanted to play. So that was the key. It was the game's always like that. To be fair, it's always a little bit of an arm wrestle, it's a bit of pushing and shoving, and at the end of the day, you've just got to keep at it for longer, and the longer you keep at it, the more likely it is that it's going to fall your way.
Ken, how does Jarman Impey stand up now in terms of not only a Rising Star nomination, but maybe even being in the final count at the end of the year?
Not for me to judge, probably, but in our view, it would be a very, very good first-year player to knock Jarman Impey off. I would have thought right now, as the way he's played, he's, you know, he's as I say, he's been nominated, and his form's getting stronger, and he's playing in the side that's been really strong, and he's been holding down a really dangerous position for us in the back half, and tonight he grew that a bit further again.
He seems to have actually now even added that attacking element.
He's always had it. That's why we drafted him. We knew what we were getting, and Jeff Parker and his boys knew what we were getting, and we've been on record as saying that we were taking him at 14 regardless, and we were, and you know, because we like what he brings to the team. We think there's some significant upside. Well, actually, I know there's a significant upside to Jarman Impey once he gets his composure even better at AFL football. But he has got that mentality that he doesn't get phased too easy, and that's one of the key things you're looking for a small defender to play, because it's a really dangerous area of the ground to put yourself in the pressure situations a lot.
Can I ask you on the other extreme, is Jasper Pittard testing your nerves even more now?
No, not really. No, not really. Jasper defended really well for us tonight. He made a couple of blues. There's no doubt about that, and I said that to him a couple of times during the night. And I think it's just as much Jasper doesn't want to make a mistake, and then he makes that mistake because he second guesses himself a little bit. Okay. You know, I had a discussion with Travis in the box, because Travis was sitting up in the box, and said, "How does Jasper go?" He said, "No, mate, he's really important for us, and you know, we want him in the team. There's no problems there. So it's just a matter of him cleaning up parts of his game. He's still a very young player. Hasn't played much footy. I don't even know what his game number would be, but I'd assume it's not 40. I don't know. Norts, you got any ideas?
52.
He's just made that number up for you. No, he hasn't played much footy, is the key message.
Armstrong Revolt, is it another step for him?
Yeah, really strong. You know, Nick kicked 4 goals, so you probably give the points. As I said, he got that last one, you know, and he kicked 2 in the first quarter, 1 right near the end of the first quarter, which I thought the team should have defended better. I didn't blame Homsch for that in any way, and, you know, a bit of bad luck on that last bounce going against you. That happens in a game of football. I was really comfortable with the way he played.
So how do you feel about next week?
I'm looking forward to it.
Millionaire attack and all that sort of stuff.
Oh no, looking forward to going up to Sydney and taking on one of the really great teams of the competition who have been like that for a long time. You know, and it's going to be a real challenge for us, but it's one that we're not shying away from. It's one that we look forward to see how we go. And defensively, if we stand up okay, we'll be all right.
Where do you think they test you the most?
Sydney?
Yeah.
Oh, they'll test us all over the ground. There's not one area there. If you go through their team, that's why they're a strong side. They're great down back. They're very, very strong in the midfield, and they're super in the front half. So.
But more in that appetite they've got for contested footy, particularly in that midfield, which is.
Yeah, in my time against them.
Against Port Adelaide.
In my time here at Port, we've played them twice. Once in a NAB Cup, once in the regular season, and we've got an appetite that's similar, I think, for the way the game's played, and you know, we've been able to test ourselves against them a couple of times. Look, there's a different challenge coming next week. We haven't played them at the SCG. You know, they've obviously it's a challenge for our players to go into foreign territory against a great side and take them on.
Is there a thought about how you handle Franklin and Tippett?
Not tonight.
Before?
No, not tonight. I'm going to worry about that for a little bit. I'm going to block that out. I'm going to go and watch them play tomorrow. I'm going to go and jump on the plane and go and watch them play tomorrow with Nixie and Josh Carr. So we're going to get a good first-hand look at them. Watched them really closely last week. We had people up there watching them last week. So, you know, we're getting a good look at them. Doesn't mean we're going to be able to either stop them or them stop us. It's just a matter of making sure we're really well prepared. That's our responsibility as coaches.
In terms of that ground, does that have a dimension on it as well for how you play?
Yeah, well, obviously it's a different ground, and you know, it certainly opens up to quick entries, and that's why their forwards are so dangerous, because one quick kick from the centre and it's only a short distance from goal. So you've got to be ready for that as best we possibly can. But our coaches, who are doing a great job every week, you know, they'll go to work this week, and we'll put our heads together and we'll come up with a way that we think structurally will hold up pretty well against them, and then we will challenge them.
Can I have a big picture thing? You know how Thursday night you're forced to name a side, and then you've still got to train on Friday. Is there a better way for us? I know it's traditional that you've got to name a lineup and it's 6 lines of 3, which few sides play anyway. Is it time to change that, or do we just stick with tradition and just deal with it? Like what you had to go through, where you say Boak's going to play.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, I think the rules are what they are, so we have to work within them. So we have to name a squad, and there's no doubt we named players on Thursday night that we had some doubt about. We were reasonably confident that they would probably come up, having seen them run on Thursday, but that's the only way we can do it. So we name them. If there was a better way to do it, I'm sure the AFL would look at that, but you know, see the NRL name their squads or their teams on Tuesday night, I think. You know, so it makes it even harder. But for us, there's not much more we can do other than... And I think we've shown as a football club, and as we did yesterday, we jumped on the front foot and said, Boak's not playing, White's not playing. We're not trying to hide anything. We're not trying to play any silly games. We're just trying to put our team out there in the best shape we can and give them the chance to be in that team. And unfortunately, Thursday didn't allow for that to happen this week. Normally it's okay, but when you've got two blokes you're waiting through till their last training run, you've just got to give them that time.
So would it be a better system that we name squads Thursday and final lineups on Friday or 24 hours before a game?
Yeah, I suppose it works. If it works better for everyone, it works better. I'm not really fussed either way. I think you name your squad and you do your best to be as accurate as you can to that squad.
What impressed you more, Ken? I mean, you're a bit subdued on Chad's mark, either Chad's mark or the ability of Sam Gray and Jarman Impey to just get straight back up after getting smashed by Simpkin.
Yeah, I love the ability to get up and go again. You know, I'm pretty hard on the players as far as when they get hit. It's not fair, to be honest, because they're getting put under a fair bit of physical punishment out there, and I just want them to get up. And I think it's a great sign when your players get off the ground as quick as they can. Don't stay down, get up.
How did Pollock finish up?
Rolled ankle. We've had a great run with ankles. We've had Monfries, Boak, White, and now Pollock. I think he'll be looking at, if you compare him to Travis last week, a similar rolled ankle, Jared's is nowhere near as severe as what Travis's was last week. So Travis nearly got up. I'm sitting here saying I think Jared will get up.
And Young with those shoulders?
Yeah, they're just probably skinny little shoulders a little bit that put himself under a fair bit of heat. And, I don't think structurally he's in absolutely perfect shape in the shoulders, but he's in great shape to play every week at the moment because he wants to be part of the team.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kenny.
Thanks,